Hello, and my name is Paul Mutambuze, and I'm uh, presenting the effectiveness of machine learning based intrusion detection systems. We are mitigating the cyber threats in the banking and financial service sector in Uganda. So the outline of the presentation is going to be as follows: the background, the research objective, the literature review, contextual framework, research methodology, and of course the significance and my contribution, and who is benefiting from this research. So Uganda's banking sector has digitized fast, and of course we see 60% adult mobile banking penetration by 2024. So 49% of Ugandan adults use mobile money as their primary financial tool. But of course, the cybersecurity investment has not moved. It has not moved at the same pace. What I mean is the growth of the investment in cybersecurity has not moved as fast as technology has moved in investment of the banking sector. So we see 22% of all successful cyber threats in Africa targeting financial institutions. And of course, Uganda alone faced over 800 million attacks in the year 2022. So over 70% of Ugandan banks still use old signature based IDSs, which are blind to the new cyber threats. So in December 2024, Bank of Uganda issued mandatory cybersecurity directives, which are legally enforceable. So what's the problem statement? Yes, of course, the problem statement, every research problem is a gap between what is ideal and what is real. And in our case, the ideal is Ugandan banks deploy adaptive machine learning powered IDS systems, detecting threats they've never seen before. But what is actually happening on the ground? We see over 70%, 70+% rely on legacy signatures that cannot detect known threats. Yes. So the IDSs that we use cannot detect known threats. And of course, the problem is bigger, global. Machine learning IDS research is rich. Yes, but of course, none of this is specific to Uganda. Yes. So the legacy, when I talk of legacy signature based intrusion IDSs, what comes to mind is these operate like a poster with wanted, someone is wanted. And then, of course, we expect the IDS to only flag exactly what is there, and forgetting that the cyber threats have grown, and some of them are unknown. Yes, and the legacy systems cannot detect the new ones. They only have the wanted. So I'm only looking for specific characteristics of what is in the wanted. Yes. So the objectives of the study. Sorry about this. The objectives we have four main objectives. What the first one is, what does intrusion detection capability actually look like in Uganda's banking today? The second one is, of course, the technical core, which algorithm, machine learning algorithm we're going to use. Are we using the random forest? Are we using the SVM? Are we using the long short-term memory? Or the ensemble, which of course will perform much better. Third one is the modernization, what institutions, operational, and of course regulatory factors influence how effective machine learning solutions perform. Then the fourth one, of course, is going to be what evidence-based recommendations can guide the adoption and implementation of governance of machine learning-driven IDSs in the banking sector. So in summary, of course, the study is designed to be both technically rigorous and, of course, practically applicable, bridging the gap between the advanced analytics and, of course, the real-world banking operations. Then the research hypothesis, we are going to have 3 research hypotheses. And of course, these are all framed in terms of the null and of course alternative pairs and evaluated using statistical methods. So the first one is the different machine learning algorithms vary in detecting accuracy. Would expect the answer to be yes. The second one is, does the institution capacity influence the effectiveness of machine learning based IDSs? And of course, I would expect also a yes for this one. And the third one is a regulatory compliance, where we are looking at, does the compliance with the Bank of Uganda Cybersecurity Directive predict the machine learning adoption? I would expect yes, because the institutions that align, of course, closely with BOU directives they have put across, they will invest more in cybersecurity. And all of these 3 hypotheses tested using the ANOVA and the regression techniques, which will be which we shall detail in the preceding slides. Okay, then we look at the the theoretical framework, where we are looking at the technology acceptance model, which is useful in explaining adoption decision, but of course it largely ignores the structural constraints, such as of course the regulations, the infrastructure, the budget, and of course on its own it is not sufficient. Then we also look at the deterrence theory, which explains the strategic value of how having security controls like IDS is in place, but of course it cannot assess technical performance. Then the information security culture theory by Sagala in 2025, yes, of course, which provides strong insights into the organizational behavior and of course the user practices. Yes, but of course it is too narrow to evaluate the ML detection performance, right? So the primary theory that we're going to be using for this study is the routine activity theory, which simply says that it argues that for crime to occur, 3 elements have to converge: the motivated offender, a suitable target, and of course the absence of the guardian. And of course, what this study is going to do, it is going to provide us with the offender, who is the sophisticated cyber criminal that targets Ugandan banking environment with, of course, exploitable vulnerabilities. And of course, the absence of the guardian is the ineffective or use of the legacy IDS systems. Yes. Then, of course, the related literature review that we have, of course, what is the, for the first objective we had earlier, the current IDS system, where we're looking at the studies such as the AL Dosari et al. Done by Kisaga also, which shows that ML-based IDS adapt across Africa remain low, largely because, of course, the shortage of a skill and infrastructure limitations. For the second objective, for the algorithm performance, we shall look at studies by Pinto and Sajid in 2023 and 2025, and 2024 respectively. Then the other one, we shall be looking at the modernizing factors, where we shall be looking at the research by ISA. And then the last one is the one for policy implementation by a study by IBM in 2023, where they are saying organization using ML-driven security tools reduced breaches across a breach cost by approximately $1.7 million. So for the conceptual framework, we are looking at the independent variables, the dependent variables. We look at the moderating variables, and of course the controls that are in place. So the independent, this is what I'm actually deliberately varying. That is the machine learning algorithms. And of course, that we are evaluating 5, which is the random forest, SVM, LSTM, the ensemble, and of course, the classical classifiers. Then the dependent variables, this is what we're going to measure, what I'm going to be measuring, the effectiveness of IDS. And we are going to be still measuring five matrices: the detection rate, the false positive rate, false negative, and then the F1 score, and then the latency. Then we shall be also looking at the correlationship, that is the choice of the algorithm to use. Then we shall look at also the moderating variables, the nature and sophistication of the cyber attacks, influencing how strong this relationship is. And then finally, the controls, these factors that held constant to ensure a fair comparison. Of course, which will include the infrastructure, regulatory conditions, the data sets that we're going to use, the network, and of course, the configurations. Then the research methodology that we're going to be using, we shall be looking at the quantitative and of course that's, the quantitative, where we shall be having experiments. Then we shall look at the survey, where we are going to have the questionnaires, and of course a qualitative, where we shall be looking at the 15 CISOs and the IT managers for the interviews. So what is the significance of this study? What will be the significance of this study? So the significance of study is going to focus on three key groups. That is the academics. So it will provide empirical evaluation for machine learning based IDSs within the Ugandan banking context. The second one, of course, would be the banking institutions, that is for CISOs, security teams, and of course, study delivers evidence-based guidance on selecting appropriate machine learning solutions. Then the other one will be, of course, for the policies. Yes, to provide the findings will provide an empirical foundation for setback of Uganda to define machine learning performance standards and, of course, supervisory expectations. So in a nutshell, we are looking at 5 key points. And of course, the first one was a problem where we talked about 70% of Ugandan banks rely on legacy IDSs. The second one is a theory where we looked at the RAT, which is a routine activity theory. The third one was the gap, what is existing. So there is no existing empirical data within Uganda. And the fourth would be the method, where we're using a mix of approaches combining machine learning methods, right? Experiments. The other one is the value that we study and provide actionable evidence for CISOs, policymakers, Policy Foundation, Bank of Uganda. Then the final takeaway, the research, of course, will bridge the global machine learning advancements within Uganda, unique banking context, turning theory into practical deployment insights. And of course, these are my references, and thank you very much.